News for Tucson at noon. He thought it was a bus carrying migrant children, but that wasn't the case. The awkward interview that has one Arizona legislator doing damage control. The former PTA president accused of spying on a teen girl in a dressing room appears in court. He will actually have to wait to learn his sentence. And a dire drought is gripping California. The drastic measures that state is taking for the first time in decades.
Meanwhile, here monsoon 2014 off to a rocking start in southern Arizona, but looking at a break in the storms. I'll show you why coming up.
News 4 Tucson at noon is next.
For those who hit the road, the gym, or the playground, we are here. For those in city limits or with no limits, we are here. For those narrow, extra wide, and everything in between, we are here to keep you moving. We are the fit specialists at your New Balance store, where comfort and movement come in every size, width, and style. Everyone fits here.
New Balance Tucson, Speedway near Craycroft and Oracle at Ina.
Barack Obama has failed America, and Arizona especially. The transportation of thousands of illegal immigrants from Texas to Arizona is inhumane and unacceptable, and our southern border remains wide open and unprotected. As governor, I'll fight back with every resource at my command. Fencing, satellites, guardsmen, more police and prosecutors. We'll get this done. If Barack Obama won't do the job, Arizonans will.
Doug Ducey for governor.
First in HD. This is News 4 Tucson, live at noon.
Good afternoon. I'm Danielle Lerner. Allison is off today, and we go straight to breaking news of a rollover accident. This happened shortly before 10:45 this morning. A vehicle rolled and landed on its roof in a dry canal between the frontage road and Interstate 10. Now, we're told emergency responders haven't been able to find anyone who may have been traveling in that vehicle or driving it. So that search continues right now. We'll be sure to keep you posted as we get more information throughout the afternoon. But now let's get to the latest on the migrant crisis. Protests are spreading all across the nation as the federal government struggles to deal with the flood of Central American children. Lawmakers are looking at ways to address the influx of immigrants crossing the U.S. illegally. And News 4 Tucson's Andrew Spencer reports.
With word the city would soon house dozens of immigrant children,
you're just lucky! You're not better! None of you are better than them!
The often emotional demonstrations spread to Oracle, Arizona. The county sheriff says the public has a right to know where people who have crossed the U.S. border illegally are being held.
Not only for transparency, but this significant public safety and potentially a public health issue. Absolutely, I believe that the public has a right to know.
With the influx of tens of thousands of immigrants, especially unaccompanied children from Central America, the Department of Health and Human Services has reached out to some cities, such as Los Angeles, for help.
They didn't ask the city to take in personally through public housing or anything else, but asked us to convene some nonprofit groups that have experience with refugees, with asylum seekers, with immigrants.
Senate Republicans are pushing a plan they say would allow for quick deportations for most minors who have crossed the border illegally, but some Democrats, at least, aren't supporting it.
I think that it's too broad. It addresses more than just the border problem.
I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
Well, Border Patrol has released a man who's made the immigration debate a personal cause. Agents detained Jose Antonio Vargas at McAllen Airport. That is right on the Texas border with Mexico. Officials say Vargas told them he was in the U.S. illegally. Vargas is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who is profiled in the CNN film Documented. He's been living here in the U.S. illegally since he was a child. When asked how he didn't know that he'd get extra scrutiny at the border airport, this is what he had to say.
I mean, people have been asking me if this was some sort of a stunt. So I had to make a choice, and my lawyers advised me that I should actually just try to fly out in the same way that I flew in. So that was the risk I had to take.
Officials did eventually let Vargas go because he'd never been arrested before, but he did get a notice to appear at an immigration hearing. Vargas was there in Texas visiting a shelter for undocumented immigrant children. Back here in Tucson, protesters waited in Oracle Tuesday after word spread that a bus transporting migrant children was headed there. Well, that bus never came, but for a moment, Arizona legislator Adam Quasman thought it did. News 4 Tucson's Bram Resnick has that story.
Lady Justice. Adam Quasman was making a speech The reason why Lady Justice holds a blindfold over faces.
But then the Republican congressional candidate suddenly stopped. He got word a bus was heading down the road and took off for it.
Anything else? Thank you.
It's what Quasman and the Oracle protesters were waiting for, a confrontation with a bus full of migrant children. Quasman tweeted from the scene, "Bus coming in. This is not compassion. This is the abrogation of the rule of law." He included a photo of a yellow school bus.
I was able to actually see some of the children in the buses and the fear on their faces. This is not compassion.
That fear on the faces of migrant children, Quasman told me he saw in Oracle. There's just one problem. Those weren't migrant children on the yellow school bus. They were YMCA campers from the Marana School District.
Do you know that was a bus with YMCA kids?
They were sad too.
Reporters at the scene saw the children laughing and taking pictures on their iPhones.
I apologize. I didn't know. I was leaving when I saw them.
Quasman later deleted his original tweet, but we found it on PolitWhoops, a site that captures politicians' deleted tweets. He did backflips, trying to take back the story.
I said I saw children. Right. I saw children.
But those weren't migrant children.
Those were not migrant children. That's fine.
And that was Bram Resnick reporting. Now about those campers on that bus, well, YMCA camp director Alicia Anderson sent us this statement saying, quote, "Our staff and campers are having a blast. We're pleased to report that the situation in Oracle has not affected our ability to provide this experience for our campers." In other news, the former PTA president arrested for voyeurism will have to wait to learn his sentence. Erin Garibay appeared in court today, but his sentencing was pushed back to September 8th. When officers arrested Garibay, he was still serving as PTA president at Steele Elementary. A 17-year-old girl told officers he tried snapping pictures of her while she was changing in a thrift store fitting room. Last month, Garibay took a plea deal for a lesser charge of attempted voyeurism. Now to the drought hitting the West Coast. Starting next month, California will be the first state in the country to start levying hefty fines for water wasters. News 4 Tucson's Mike Taibbi reports.
All in favor?
Aye. This morning, California's worst drought on record is also bringing record fines, with millions now facing penalties of up to $500 per day for a list of specific violations. Among them, washing your car without a shutoff nozzle on the hose, allowing unchecked runoff from hoses or sprinklers, washing down sidewalks or driveways. To catch water wasters, some cities are encouraging drought shaming, reporting neighbors or others violating the new regulations. This woman, who didn't want her identity known, said she'd be willing to turn over photos like these.
This is just weeds. Very sad. We're in a water shortage, and I think we all need to be aware.
Despite Governor Brown's plea for a 20% voluntary reduction in statewide water use, the demand has actually ticked up slightly from a year ago, mostly along coastal Southern California from San Diego to LA. Drought experts say conserving is essential common sense.
It's okay to let your lawn suffer a little bit until we get through this time.
And it's not just citizens now on notice. Water suppliers will face fines of up to $10,000 a day if they defy or ignore court-ordered conservation measures.
And that was Mike Taibbi reporting. Now, those fines take effect all across California on August 1st.
And the drought continues here in southern Arizona, Danielle, but monsoon 2014 off to a great start for Tucson. At the airport, we have seen 1.14 inches of rain this month. That's over a ½ inch above average. And of course, when you have above average rainfall, chances are you'll likely have below average temperatures. That is, the July average temperature 87 degrees, almost a degree from where we should be this time of year. A little quieter on the monsoon front today. Live look at Doppler radar, just mountain activity, and it's mainly off to the south and east of Metro Tucson, slowly moving to the south at a mere 5 miles per hour. We are not looking at a repeat performance of what we saw just 24 hours ago. For that reason, the monsoon prediction index at 2 out of 10 for Tucson. Just a slight chance at a couple of thunderstorms. Best bet for scattered storms today will be south and east of Tucson, talking about Nogales, Sierra Vista, and Douglas. This the start of a first-time break for monsoon 2014. We'll show you why coming up in your full forecast. Danielle.
All right, Jeff, we'll see you then. But first, a busy day for lawmakers on Capitol Hill. The acting Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Sloan Gibson, will testify before the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee today. Lawmakers will be focusing on what the agency has done to address recent problems plaguing the VA medical system. Committee members are expected to question Sloan about the status of scheduling veterans stuck on those long wait lists. Accountability among personnel accused of falsifying records will be another topic. Senator Erin Hatch joined faith leaders and other members of Congress for a press conference opposing a bill that would reverse a Supreme Court decision on employer-funded contraception. This afternoon, the Senate plans to vote on a bill that would essentially reverse the Hobby Lobby decision regarding certain forms of birth control. Senator Hatch is the lead author of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
This is not some itty-bitty little problem. This is a major, major constitutional problem that the Democrats, in order to make political hay, they think, and I don't think it will, are ignoring.
The Democrat-sponsored bill faces little chance of becoming law under the Republican-controlled House. Also, a House Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee will hold a hearing on the recent anthrax scare at the Centers for Disease Control. CDC Director Thomas Friedman will be one of the witnesses, responding to the latest findings of an internal review. Last month, dozens of employees were potentially exposed to live anthrax after a breakdown in protocol. Meantime, the House Armed Services Committee will meet to mark up legislation regarding the recent IRS scandal. Investigators have been looking into whether the IRS targeted conservative groups. Thousands of emails to and from former IRS official Lois Lerner are at issue here. The committee's pushing for the Secretary of Defense to turn over any emails previously received from Lerner. Still to come on News 4 Tucson at noon, some sour news for sweets lovers. The cost of your favorite candy bar may be going up. We'll take a look at what's fueling the price hike. And a music video for a cause, how you can help shelter cats all across the country with a simple click. But first, this is a live look outside thanks to our News 4 Tucson Skynet camera. Keep it right here, News 4 Tucson at noon. We'll be right back.